Okay, welcome back to our discussion on using PostgreSQL. So what we want to learn in this lesson is how to copy data from one table to another. There are instances whereby you would like to grab data which belongs to some other table. Maybe you have 5 columns in that table and you would like to have maybe the first and the fifth column, the data that belongs to those columns. You want to sort of export them, grab them, and place them into some new table that you are creating. All right, so let's see how that is done using PostgreSQL. So let's assume that we want to create a table for stock prices. Okay, so stock prices. Okay. Okay. Now, one way to create this table is by using a create table statement. However, if you use the create table statement, then that implies that the only way you're going to get the data into your table is by reading it from some text file or some CSV file like we did earlier in previous videos, or you're going to use insert statements. Okay, so we can't really use the create table statement here. So what I'm going to show you is how we can do a subquery, and we can use the results of that subquery to be the values that we end up putting into a newly created table. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So we have 3 columns. Okay, so I could say create table, right? Just to show you what it would look like if I did it this way. Stock prices. Okay. Right. And so this table should have a symbol, which of course is text. And for now, we just say not null. Okay. But the reality is, when we're creating these types of tables, we don't want to set this constraint now. We should set it later after the data has been read in. So we have another variable called quote date. Okay, and that is a date, of course, not null. Okay, and finally we have a price, which we're going to say is numeric, 10, comma 2, so or maybe 3. Have 3 decimal places, and the number can be 10 digits wide. Okay, and let's say not null. Okay, so this is what we would create normally. Okay, but like I said previously, we can't do that. The only reason I did this was to show you the name of the columns we need. So we need, when this table is created, we need a symbol column, we need a quote date column, and need a price column. The symbol column is the symbol that we are used to. For example, AAPL or AMZ or some such abbreviation. All right, like here, TSLA, Lulu, and so on. The quote date is simply the date when you got the quote or the price of the stock. Okay, so let's assume that the current date is when we actually got the price of some particular stock. Okay, so today's date, the current date. And finally, the price of that stock. So what is the price of the stock for the current date, which is today? So these are the three columns we need. Okay, so we said we can do it this way. So how do we do it? Well, all we need to do, okay, we will still use, and let's start off simple, we only want the symbol. So in reality, I want to get, so select all from my stocks. Okay, so I want to grab the values, the rows from this column and dump them in to my new table, which is named stock prices. All right. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, all I need to do is to say create table. Okay. And I will use the as keyword. So what the as keyword does, it will create a table, and whatever values is generated after the as will be used as the values that will go into that table. Okay, so let me give my table a name. So create table stock prices as, and so how would we get those 5 rows from this table? Okay, how would you get these 5 rows? Well, we could simply write an SQL query. So I will say select. Okay, what do I want to select? Symbol. All right. So I'm going to select the symbol column from the My Stocks table. Okay. And when I'm finished, I will put my semicolon. Okay. So whatever SQL statement you have inside here, you do not place any semicolon. You place a semicolon after the entire statement is complete. Okay. All right. So let me show you what I mean. Like that would be there, and then this would be here, and then this would be here. And so in reality, it's one statement. Okay. However, when we write SQL, we tend to try to organize it. Okay. All right. All right. Good. So when I run this statement, it will create a table by this name, and the values that will be in that table will come from the My Stocks table, the symbol column. So let's do that. Let's read in my prices. So prices.sql. Okay, so it seems everything went well. So let's select all from stock prices. Okay, and notice we have a single column with all the values that we wanted. So where does the name symbol come from? Well, since we did not specify a name, column name for this new column in stock prices, the name is simply whatever we have here as select. All right. Okay. So one step down, how can we get the quote date, which we said was the current date? Well, let me come here and let's do one thing. Let's drop stock prices. Okay. Since we have stock prices here, so I'd prefer to delete this. So I'll just have it delete before I recreate it. Okay. Otherwise, it won't be able to create stock prices again. Okay, so we want stock prices to have the two columns now, the symbol and the quote date. So all I have to do is to simply say select symbol. And how do you get the current date? Well, you simply use the current date function that PostgreSQL provides. And we're going to say as, and remember, as allows me to rename the output. So let's call it quote underscore date. Okay. Okay. Now you might be asking, well, there isn't a current date. There isn't a current date column in our my stocks table, and that is correct. But in this case, PostgreSQL will simply create a column with that name if it does not find this column in this table. So obviously this column is not in this table, so it will simply go ahead and consider it as a new column. Okay. Okay, so let's save this and let's read this in again. Okay, oops, I missed something, so I should hit drop table. So let me fix that. Yeah, drop table. Okay. Okay. And then I could simply check again, and now I have two columns, symbol and quote date. So we can extend this and we can solve the initial problem, which was we want symbol, we want quote date, and we want a price. And so I'm going to say comma, and for this to work, the price will have to be some constant price, okay, a price that will be the same for every row. So let's say the price is $20.15, okay, or 0.50, 150. Okay, so all I'm going to do, I am going to say the price. So I'm going to say, let's say 20, 150. Okay, and then I'm going to say as, and then the name of the column, which will be price. Okay, so this 2150 will be listed in every row, and the name of the column will be price. Okay. All right. All right, and there we have it. We have our symbol column, our quote date column, and our price column. Notice that the price is the same for every row, and the price column did not come from the price column did not come from this table, right? So as far as PostgreSQL was concerned, it was a new column, okay? And so it created it in our new table. All right, so that's how we actually copy data from one table to another. So notice we did not put any constraints, but you can always add constraints later by using the alter table command, where you can add constraints. Okay, but for our purposes, all we wanted to do was to copy the data from some table to some other table. All right, and this is something that happens, or this is something that is done quite often, where you want to grab a portion or some columns from one table and put them into some other table, which you will use to do further analysis. All right, so make sure you understand how to do this. Make sure you go ahead and do it. Of course, you will have some exercises which will allow you to practice this aspect. All right, so to summarize, you learned how to copy data from one table to another. Great. I will see you in the next lesson.